Hey, Facebook fans. Today's question is, Dear Pastor, I noticed you got a new church sign. Thanks for noticing. And after the words Holy Cross Lutheran Church, it has the abbreviation U.A.C. Can you explain what that means? I sure can. U.A.C. means Unaltered Augsburg Confession. And that is the true confession of not only the Lutheran Church, but also the true Church Catholic throughout the history of the Church through down to ancient times. U.A.C. means Unaltered Augsburg Confession, and why we say the Unaltered Augsburg Confession is because about within 10 years after the presentation of the Augsburg Confession, which took place in 1530, within that decade, all the way up to 1540, 1542-ish, there were editings of it, so that by the time 1542 comes along, this variant edition it was somewhat unrecognizable to its original signers in certain areas. And the reason was this: some of the Lutherans wanted to cozy up with the Reformed on issues like the Lord's presence, Lord's sacramental presence in the Lord's Supper, baptismal regeneration, these sorts of things. So that's why our church sticks with the Unaltered Augsburg Confession. In doing so, and putting that both on our cornerstone and on our church sign, we're being very upfront about what we believe, teach, and confess. So there is no guessing about what does this church teach. If you want to know what our church teaches, you read the Unaltered Augsburg Confession. You can find it at this address right here online if you'd like to read it. This begs a question, though, that I know someone will ask, and that is, well, aren't you adding to the Bible by having something like this and basing your doctrine off of this? And the answer is no. Let me explain to you how this works. The Bible is the Word of God, true Word of God, inerrant, and God's only revelation to mankind about our salvation and our life with God. We're not debating that. However, have you ever walked into a church and asked them, what do you believe? And they answer, well, we believe the Bible. Duh. Now let me ask you another question. Have you ever been to a church where you were to walk in and say, what do you believe? And they say, not the Bible? Wordsworth, Tennyson, Poe, insert any sort of human author at that point. The point is, every church you walk into is going to say, we teach the Bible. And if they don't, run. But every church you walk into, whether it's a Roman Catholic church, a Methodist church, a Pentecostal church, a Baptist church, a Bible church, a Unitarian church, whatever it is, even the Mormons and the JWs, outside of the pale of Christianity, heretical sect, they're going to say, we teach the Bible. So the question isn't, do you teach the Bible? The question is, what do you teach about the Bible? What do you teach it says about things what do you teach that it says, about things like baptismal regeneration, the Lord's presence in his supper, the origin of evil, all of these sorts of things. What does this particular church that I'm walking into teach about these things? If they tell you, well, we just teach the Bible, they're not bound to any sort of confession. And what that really means is we're going to tell you what we think it means. Whereas a confession grounds you and says, this is what it means. This is what it has always meant historically, all the way back to the time of the apostles. In fact, when you're reading through the Augsburg Confession, both in the preface and in the epilogue to it, statements are made about how in our confession, nothing has been added that is contrary to the doctrine of the Church Catholic. So what the Unaltered Augsburg Confession seeks to do is to explain very succinctly, this is what the Catholic faith is. This is what the ancient, true, and historic faith is. This is what we believe, teach, and confess about the Bible. So we're just being very honest and very upfront. If you want to know what we believe, read the Augsburg Confession and then the confessional documents that come after that. That's a different Bible study, as we say around here in these parts. But that's what the letters U.A.C. mean, Unaltered Augsburg Confession. And that's really the problem that's addressing is, what does your church believe? It's not enough to say, well, we believe the Bible. You have to explain what you believe and teach and confess about the Bible, because everybody says they believe the Bible these days. But frankly, most don't. We'll see you next week.